Hey Nathan, today you mentioned that you wanted to tell your viewers about your, your perspective on if God exists, and if so, how you view your spirituality personally.
Well, most of my life I've been questioning whether there is a God. I don't think it's impossible because, I think that the universe itself is fundamentally impossible. How can something begin from nothing? How can something be infinite? The idea of infinite is beyond our understanding as humans. The idea of something starting from nothing is beyond our understanding. So the universe seems to be fundamentally impossible anyway, so I wouldn't discount a lot of things, even the notion of a creator. I waver between being superstitious and religious and being an atheist. When I look at the hard realities of life, like tragic deaths, children that die before they're 5 of cancer, people who get hit by cars. I just read today about a woman, she ran out of petrol on the freeway, she got out of her car and she got hit and died. And when I see things like that in the world, I think, well, how could there possibly be a God? But one theory I do prescribe to is suggested by some scientists, some physicists, and that is the idea that the universe is a living organism. It's like a living tissue, like a brain or a neural network. And the reason some scientists are now speculating that the universe may be a neural network is because, you see, the further you zoom out from the stars, the less space there is between them. You see, the stars only look to be so distantly separated to us because we're so small. But if we were bigger than the universe and able to stand beside the universe, we would see that all the stars and all the galaxies are actually bunched up very closely together, very right beside each other, like all the galaxies and the stars are a clump, like a sponge. And it looks like a neural network. And scientists have said, if you look at the images they've created of what the universe would look like if you were massive compared to it, you see that it's all these tiny galaxies bunched up very closely together, as if they were a sponge or a network. And now we see, now science has shown only in recent years that the galaxies are actually connected by these filaments, these strings of energy that actually connect galaxies. And I'm not sure exactly what those strings of energy are made of, but there is energy passing between each galaxy. So we see now, and that was discovered some years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I can't remember, but it was discovered that the galaxies are all connected. They're actually physically connected by these strings of filaments of stuff that stretch between them. So everything is intimately connected. So again, it's this idea that all the galaxies and all the stars have energy passing between them. And if you zoom out, the stars become closer together until they're all bunched up very closely together, and they resemble a complex neural network. So some physicists in articles I've read have asked the question, does the universe think? Is information passing around the universe? And that's the theory that I now prescribe to. That's the only idea of God that I will prescribe to at the moment, is that the universe is a living tissue, it's alive, it's a brain, and it can think to some extent. Now, I think some scientists have speculated that this living system of the universe grows and evolves and adapts and changes and learns, that it may be a learning system. It may be similar to a computer or an artificial intelligence. The universe is a learning system which grows and evolves on principles of natural selection and adapts and changes. So that's what I've read in some articles about the idea that the universe is a neural network. And I think that if information can pass around the universe that way, it's sort of like spooky action at a distance with quantum entanglement. Does information pass between particles that are entangled on opposite sides of the universe? Are all particles entangled with each other? So that's why I can be open-minded about things like psychic powers and clairvoyance, because sometimes I think that consciousness and self-awareness is actually an energy and a force in the universe, and that our consciousness can access this network of the universe, this network of all the stars and all the galaxies, and we can perceive things on other sides of the universe in our mind through some quantum entanglement phenomena which facilitates astral projection and psychic abilities. So I'm open-minded about ESP because I think that things like information transfer can transfer in that way, like it seems to with entanglement. So I do have an open mind about psychic abilities, and I wonder, I like to believe that we can astral project, and I did extensive research into the CIA's psychic experiments into astral projection, and I don't know, some of it's pretty convincing. If you look at some of the images, some of the clairvoyants get the targets right. Some of the psychics the CIA was hiring, they're asked to depict something which they have no knowledge of, and sometimes they get it spookily right, you know, it's compelling sometimes. But other times they come out with ridiculous stuff. Like one psychic who worked for the CIA was asked to view Mars 1 million years ago, and claims that he saw a dying species explained that he saw a planet, a desert planet with a dying species on it. So if you were to accept that as a genuine remote viewing astral projections scenario, then you'd have to accept that there was a civilization on Mars 1 million years ago, and I don't know if I accept that. But I can be open-minded about things like astral projection, because I do think the universe is a living organism and information transfers across the whole universe. It's all connected. So what I believe in really, when I'm not an atheist and when I do adopt this theory, I'm essentially a Jedi. I believe in a living force that animates everything in the universe. So I believe there's this living force that permeates everything in the universe and it animates things. And this is like the idea of animism that some ancient traditions had, the spirit that is in everything, the spirit of nature. So that's essentially the God that I believe in on the days that I do believe in God.